Hey guys, this is Mel, and I am here to talk about the huge ArrowVerse two-night, four-part crossover event that just took place. Crisis on Earth X is what it's called. It premiered on Monday, November 27, 2017, and it concluded on Tuesday, November 28th, 2017. And it was truly epic, guys. So with that, the episodes included were Supergirl episode 308, Arrow episode 608, The Flash episode 408, and The Legends of Tomorrow episode 308 to get you guys into perspective of where in their individual shows the parts resided. So, huge spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the crossover event, please go do so first, because I am going to spoil the hell out of it. I don't want to take away from you actually experiencing it for yourself. So please go watch that first, then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. Otherwise, my other video reminders are up on screen right now, so just take a moment to look over that. With that said, let's start with, I'm going to try to do it in 30 minutes, but I am covering 4 episodes, so we'll see how I do. And first off, I do want to apologize if I'm coughing or my voice goes out. Truly sorry. I really should not be recording this, but it is literally a half an hour after the event has ended, and I really wanted to get my thoughts out before other things have come up. So with that said, let's start off with Supergirl, with what happened. So timeline wise, I'm assuming it's a week after the events of all the individual shows, episode 7, since it is Barry and Iris' wedding. So huge episode reminder is the wedding anticipation, I guess you can call it. Pretty much a good 40 minutes of the episode is, that's including commercials, is the actual getting them to the ceremony, and then I think at the 40-minute mark is when you see the church fight scene. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. So that's our reminder. Now, crossover characters. So in part 1, we see Kara, Alex, John Jones, Windshot, James Olsen, and Mon-El from Supergirl. From Arrow, we see only Oliver and Felicity. From The Flash, we see a lot of them, which is Barry, Iris, Joe, Cecile, Wally, Cisco, Caitlin, Dr. Wells, and Captain Singh and his husband. So that's a lot. It's surprising that the first part is not actually the Flash episode, but we'll get into that later. But from Legends, we see Sarah, Mick, Jax, and Professor Stein. So, huge episode breakdown. So, picked up on 2 distinct ones in the first part of the crossover, and that was the first one being the wedding anticipation, so the build up to the actual ceremony, and then the second one being the actual attack from Earth X happening at the church. So, with the wedding anticipation, we get the final check, so like the girls going out and getting their nails done, we get Barry and Oliver getting their tuxes and all that. We get other reunions, like Harry and Cisco working on a cure for Firestorm. So it's just all these little things that would lead up to the second part, which is the rehearsal dinner. Everyone coming together, celebrating the fact that Barry and Iris are getting married. This is the day before their wedding, so there's that. And then you have the actual ceremony themselves. Everyone getting there, walk down the aisle. The priest starting his ceremony, and then it goes into the actual attack from the invaders of Earth X. So, find out they're all Nazis from a different, well, we don't know it's from a different Earth just yet, but all decked out in black, all these different soldiers and such, but we have all of our superheroes fighting in their wedding attire, so their tuxes and gowns, and it's pretty epic how they do it and just who teams up with what. So anyways, the last moment of part 1 is the superheroes regrouping at Star Labs. And then also at the same time we get the leaders of the Earth X invaders being revealed to be Earth X Oliver, Earth X Kara, and Eobard Thawne, or the reverse Flash doppelganger, from what it looks like. Don't know much of who is who actually until part 2, but that's what we see. We see the face of Oliver as Dark Arrow, Kara as Overgirl, and then Dark Flash as Eobard Thawne with the face of Dr. Wells. So there's that. But moving on to tidbits, though, The first scene of the episode is actually on Earth X, and we see Dark Arrow killing Guardian X, I'm calling him, which is James Olsen, or Jimmy X, I guess you could say. Sorry, ginger ale break. So also next tidbit is the fact that we see Felicity declining Oliver's wedding proposal. His second proposal, I guess you could say. But anyway, she declines it. It brings a bunch of tension between the two of them, so there's that. We see Alex hooking up with Sarah and making it her first one-night stand done at the rehearsal dinner. Causes for some awkwardness between them, unless they're actually fighting side by side together. Otherwise, they're pretty good about it. Ooh, so there's that. Another one is I also mentioned that Dr. Wells, or Harry from Earth 2, worked with Cisco and with Caitlin to create a cure for Firestorm. This would ultimately separate the two from each other and have them give them no powers. From that, Professor Stein figured out a way to create a serum so that Jax could have a new set of powers on his own. This is where a Spider-Man reference was made. So there's that, which is pretty cool because in episode 405 of The Flash, Felicity made a Hulk reference. So we got a whole bunch of Marvel references being thrown in there. So there is that. But that creation to Firestorm, that creation kind of brings more tension between Professor Stein and Jax. So there's that. Also, a weird thing is the fact that there is this waitress or waitstaff person at the wedding ceremony who was talking to Barry, and she was talking as if she knew what was going to happen, or she was highly anticipating what was about to happen. This person was played by Jessica Parker Kennedy. A lot of people on the internet are saying that this is Dawn, Barry and Iris's daughter from the future. I could see it. I could definitely see it, but since I haven't read the comics at all, I have no idea who she is, how she came to be in the present day for us, or just how far into the future she's from. But that's interesting. But she does not appear in any other part of the crossover. That was her one and only appearance. So it's very interesting that they showed her in the Supergirl part of the crossover, but then again, the crossover was so well done that you can't really differentiate which show is which, in a sense, except for like a majority of the crossover characters. I guess I can't really say that because Supergirl had predominantly more Flash characters appearing, and then the Flash one had kind of the reverse. But anyways, moving on to Arrow, which is part 2 of the crossover event, and the huge episode reminder for that, I'm going to say it's the doppelganger reveal. Yes, we got at the very end of part 1, but I'm talking about when the characters get the reveal that their doppelgangers are who's attacking them. So that's a huge reminder there. Crossover characters for part 2 comes to Kara and Alex from Supergirl, and then from Arrow we got Oliver, Felicity, Curtis, Renee, and Dina, as well as Tommy, so we'll get into that right there. Or I guess you could say he's a special guest star from Arrow, so we'll go with that. From The Flash, we get Barry, Iris, Caitlin, and Wells. A lot less than in the first part. But with Legends, we still get the same with Sarah, Mick, Jackson, Professor Stein. So there's that. Whew, big breath. So, episode breakdown. Pretty much I've picked up on 3 distinct ones. First one being that we are learning about Earth X from Harry Wells. Second one being learning more of what the Earth X team, what their goal is on, one of their first goals on Earth 1 is, as well as the third one being the showdown. So, with learning about Earth X, we find out that Earth X is actually there's 52 Earths, but Earth X is Earth 53. So bad, and no one sane has ever visited this Earth because of how awful it is, and it shares the same history as Earth 1, except for one major thing, and that's the fact that the Nazis won World War II. So, also crazy fact of the matter was that, I hope I'm remembering this right, but Wells said that Hitler remained in control and in power until his death in 1994, and then someone else took his place. So there's that. So that's pretty crazy in itself. But with this, though, we find out with because on Earth 53 we get Overgirl, which is Kara, we find out that even though Kara is an alien, there are still 53 versions of her. There's 53 versions for her for each Earth, as well as there being 53 versions of Krypton, in a sense. So, with that said, we could possibly still meet a Kara Danvers or a Kara Zor-El from Earth 1, essentially. But that's what Dr. Wells says anyways. So there's that, because Alex does bring up that question. So anyways, with the second one, we deal with the Earth X team wanting a prism that is meant to weaken our Kara Danvers, and weaken her enough that they can cut into her, because Overgirl is dying. She flew too close to the sun. Don't know how often she does that. And she is in need of a heart transplant in order to survive, which is where the whole need to cut into Kara comes in, because they need her as a donor. So there's that. Also gets me wondering, though, if Kara ever gets too close to the sun so often, if she's going to end up in the same health condition as Overgirl. So that's another thought right there. And the third storyline is the showdown. So this is pretty much what happens is that Dark Arrow secures Star Labs. He captures the Arrow team inside as well as Mick. And unknowingly he traps Felicity and Iris inside as well, though he doesn't actually capture them and lock them away. We get Overgirl and Dark Flash, or Thawne as it were, capturing the other superheroes at the warehouse and then taking them to Earth X, which is the last moments of the episode. We see Oliver, Barry, Sarah, Jax, Professor Stein separated, and Alex finding themselves locked up at a concentration camp on Earth X. So there's that. But moving on to tidbits, though, I mentioned the 53 versions of everyone. Also, Earth X team has apparently been watching our heroes for a while. They seem to know a lot about them, what makes them tick, their strengths, weaknesses, all that. They definitely bring up a lot of history that we've known of our characters and make references to it, showing that they've been watching for a while. So there's that. We also see Oliver and Felicity being conflicted about their differing views on marriage. Oliver really wants to marry Felicity, while Felicity doesn't want to jinx it from the sounds of it, or she doesn't want to change the good thing that they have going on right now. So there's that. Also, we find out when Oliver, Barry, and Kara find out the identities of the Earth X team, they find out that Oliver X and Kara X are married to each other. And then we also find out that the Dark Flash is actually Eobard Thawne from Earth 1. He's not an Earth X version of the Reverse Flash. So that was shocking right there in itself. Or that was surprising, I guess you could say. I thought he was a version from Earth X, but apparently he's not. And it's definitely brought up a lot more in the coming parts. So which we'll get into. So, with The Flash, though, Part 3, the big episode reminder is the fact that we see half the episode taking place on Earth X itself. And with crossover characters, we see Kara and Alex from Supergirl once again, as well as an Earth X version of Wynn. From Arrow, we see Oliver, Felicity, Dina, and an X version of Lance. We also see an X version of Felicity, too, though. So there's that, and a brief little cameo from Dina locked up in a cell. So there's that. From The Flash, we get Barry, Iris, Cisco, Caitlin, and Wells. Cisco is awake during as he slept off his concussion in Part 2. So there's that. Legends, we only see Sarah, Jax, Professor Stein. Mick does not appear, but we do get special appearances by Leonard Snart of Earth X, as well as new character Ray, going by the superhero name The Ray. So there's that. And he's originally from Earth 1, but he got stuck on Earth X. Don't know how exactly, though, but there's that. Huge episode breakdown, though, for the Part 3 was 2 storylines I picked up. First one being escaping Earth X, and the second one being saving Kara from a heart transplant. So from Earth X, we get Dark Arrow. We find out that the Dark Arrow is known as the Fuhrer on Earth X. Apparently, he's the new leader of the Fatherland. I don't believe he takes orders from anybody. He dishes them out. So there's that. We also find out that the meta dampeners that were placed on all of our superheroes are also shock collars, which is why Alex and Oliver and Sarah had them on as well when they don't have actual superpowers. So there's that. Plus also, in part 2, if you notice that Kara was also wearing the meta dampeners, and since the meta dampener should affect her since she's an alien, it would understand why she had it, because it also acts as a shock collar. So there's that. So with Escaping Earth X, we see them meeting the freedom fighters and trying to figure out a way to get to the portal that opens up a breach back to Earth 1. So their whole mission is trying to get to it before the freedom fighters blow it up, because their sole purpose is cutting off Dark Arrow, Overgirl, and Dark Flash's ability to get back to the Earth, as they are the prominent leaders of the Nazi force that they're trying to fight. So there's that. Now the second storyline, though, deals with saving Kara, and that is where we get all our usual fighters being locked up in the pipeline. So that leaves Felicity and Iris trying to stay undetected inside Star Labs as they try to figure out a way to save Kara. And they eventually do send out an SOS message to the Legends team that is still on the Wave Rider. So those who weren't in attendance at the wedding. Now the last moments of the episode have Professor Stein getting shot in the back while trying to get to the breach controls back on Earth X. That was surprising in itself, and so there's that. But huge tidbits though, guys. Citizen Cold, aka Leonard X, or Leo X, is in a relationship with the Ray. I thought that was pretty cool, the way that they weave that in there, and it's definitely, I guess you could kind of still have the whole hot and cold dynamic between them, because of the fact that Ray seems to generate sunlight or solar beams or something like that, and then Citizen Cold has his cold gun. So there's that. Also, you find out that Quentin Lance from Earth X, I think he's a general, or he's definitely maybe a sergeant or a lieutenant in the Nazi army. He apparently killed his own daughter, Sarah, because of her bisexual nature. So at least we know that those two Sarahs had something in common, but it just sucks that Sarah's seeing her father in this role and then being told that he actually killed her for being who she was. That sucks. But it was very cool how they weaved it in there. So I'll give it at that. Drink break again. Sorry. Didn't want to stop the timer for that. But anyways, let's move to part 4. Legends of Tomorrow. Huge reminder is the fact that we get the final showdown for this whole crisis invasion. So with that, crossover characters, Kara and Alex from Supergirl. Arrow, we got Oliver, Felicity, as well as return of Dina, Renee, and Curtis. But we also get a small appearance by Diggle at the end of the episode. So there's that. Arrow fans will know that Diggle's physical condition has been compromised. He's currently trying to heal over a long-withstanding injury. So that's why he wasn't in the fight this time. So there's that. With the Flash, though, we get Barry, Iris, Cisco, Caitlin, and Dr. Wells. So there's that. On Legends, we get the whole team. We get Sarah, Jax, Professor Stein, Mick, Nathan, Ray, Zari, and Amaya. Special guest star being Leonard Snart of Earth X and the Ray from Earth 1, who came from Earth X, if that makes sense. So huge storyline breakdown, and picked up on 2 once again. The first one being the Legends team rescuing the Star Lab hostages and getting to Kara before she's cut into. Second one being stopping the Earth X invasion on Earth 1. So this one, you see the showdown, you see both the combat, hand-to-hand fights between the soldiers and the superheroes, and then you also see the Wave Rider showdown that happens between the non-fighters of the superhero team. So there's that. But the last moments of the crossover, I guess you could say, shows Diggle officially marrying Barry and Iris together, as well as Oliver and Felicity in a double wedding ceremony. So there's that. Tidbits for the episode is that it included the funeral for Professor Stein. Yes, he did die in the episode in the very end. He did it to save Jax, since their life forces were connected. And so in order to save him, Professor Stein took the cure that separated them, which resulted in Jax returning to his healthy form, while Professor Stein died from the injuries, the bullet injuries that he sustained. So there's that. Also, we get the Ray returning to Earth X, even though he's originally from Earth 1, while Leo of Earth X stays on Earth 1 for a bit. Don't know why, and why such a mix-up, but there's that. And also, we get the official supersuit for Azari. I actually thought she got this in episode 304 of Legends during the Halloween episode, but apparently not. So we get her actual suit in this episode. She don't want to feel left out, as she said. So, moving on to the best part. So I want to talk, let's talk most shocking moments of the episode for the 4 parts. So with Supergirl's part 1, most shocking moment I would have to say would have been the identities of Dark Arrow, Overgirl, and Dark Flash. The only reason it's not an actual shocking moment for me is because of all the spoiler photos that came out about who they were. A lot of on-set spoilers got leaked, showing Steven, Melissa, and Tom in their doppelganger super suits. So it was very. Eventually, when it actually came to the episode, it doesn't really come off as the most shocking. But it would have been if you were able to stay clear of all spoilers. Then kudos for you. But there's that. But Arrow, I think this one has to be the most shocking reveal of all. And for me, was because it was the most shocking for part 2 was Tommy Merlin being revealed as the Dark Prometheus or Prometheus X. I truly was expecting Adrian Chase, and I have to say they did a fabulous job in keeping the identity of Prometheus X under wraps, because this is the type of a shocking moment I wanted. I cursed, I swore, I was hallelujahing when they showed Tommy, because Tommy died in season 1 of Arrow. He died in 123, and the fact that they brought him back for this was just truly fantastic. I would have loved if I got this reaction from the other 3 doppelganger roles, but because it solely went to Tommy, and it's just, I love that they kept the identity of Dark Prometheus under wraps so that I could have this shocking moment. So I think by far this has to be the top shocking moment of the crossover for sure. Was not expecting it at all. So there's that. Now with the Flash, with part 3, the most shocking moment for me has to be Professor Stein getting shot. Now, I've been preparing myself for his departure. They kind of been doing it too with the fact that they're trying to separate Firestorm to get Professor Stein back home to his family and stuff like that. And I was preparing myself for the actor Victor Garber leaving the show. I was not expecting them to kill him off. I truly was shocked by it. The fact that he got shot, that first bullet in him, it started the tears. It just started the tears, and then it cut to credits for the end of the show, and I was like, oh crap. And then it went straight into part 4, and then you see him thankfully still breathing, but he takes on more wounds, and it's just like, oh crap, you're killing me here. So that was a shocking and probably one of the most devastating moments of the crossover moment for me. So there is that. And part 4, the most shocking moment for me would have to be the fact that ultimately, picking off of Professor Stein, he cures himself of the Firestorm Matrix, which ultimately leads to his death, just so he could save Jax and have him able to continue his long life afterwards. Again, I cried throughout that whole scene between them. It's just, through this whole crossover event, they've been really hammering it in on just the type of dynamic between Professor Stein and Jax, how they view each other as family, father and son, all that, how they're trying to prepare for the fact that they will be separated. They're not going to be as involved in each other's life as they are as Firestorm, and then just to have it end like this, it stunned me. I was not expecting it. It full waterworks. If I had a camera on me at that moment, you would see the tears. It's just, it made my throat feel a lot more worse when it's already killing me right now. So there's that. So let's move on to favorite moments, guys. Favorite moments for the parts. I'll do it by parts again. So with part 1, I have to say the first favorite for me has to be the intro sequences we get right off the bat with the episode. This is us getting our introduction. Like, if you haven't watched any of the shows before, they go from city to city to introduce the team that is doing what they do. They're fighting the enemies of their time, while also talking about the wedding. So first off, you get Barry fighting King Shark, which I don't know why, considering King Shark's supposed to be locked up in Argus. But anyways, he's fighting him on the streets, and Iris is asking him, what are we going to do about the people who haven't RSVP'd yet for the wedding, which is like in the next 2 days or so. And Barry's like, this is not really the time. And then he's wondering, well, who hasn't RSVP'd yet? You go to the next city, you go to Star City, and you see Oliver in the Green Arrow suit fighting against some ninjas, and Felicity's bringing up the fact that, do I RSVP? Are we going to the wedding? And Oliver's like, of course. And then so she does that. And then we go back in time to the Legends team, who are in England of 1183, I believe. And they're fighting off medieval soldiers, Robin Hood type of a theme. They're fighting them, and then Professor Stein's asking, wonder if we've RSVP'd yet, or Sarah's asking it, and Jack says we haven't done it yet, and Professor Stein's just like, that is so last minute, we got a wedding to get to, come on, let's move. And that was just fantastic and everything. And then we go to National City, where we see Supergirl fighting a Dominator, and she's commenting, this is so last year, which was awesome, by the way. And then you have, you see her and Alex talking, and then deciding, yes, we are going to go to the wedding together, and then they go through the breach, and we're at Earth 1. So I just really like that whole intro sequence where we're going from city to city to city. We're seeing our top heroes in action, seeing what they could do on their own, and also having them all talk about the one major event that is initially bringing them all together. So I really like that. Well done. It's very, and the way they did it was very high caliber, I guess I could say. So there's that. Next favorite I would have to say is just the scene with Oliver and Barry getting their tuxes. They're talking about marrying the women that they love, getting some advice and stuff like that. I really love that. The fact that they've come so far and everything. It was a great vibe to have between these two friends. So there's that. Would you say that they think each other as brothers, maybe? I don't know. But another favorite moment was the whole church fight scene. Absolutely epic. I could watch that over and over again and just be as hyped up as I was the first time I've seen it. You see everyone pitching in, and the fact that they're doing it in their nice dressy outfits. There's no super suits, no nothing like that. It's just their raw talent, or their powers, if you will, being thrown in there without any high tech stuff. So that was pretty epic in itself. So there's that. Also, another favorite of mine was it brings goosebumps to my skin every time I watch the clip, and that is Kara singing Barry's song to Iris as she walks down the aisle, and that's the song I'm Running Home to You, which he first sings to her as he proposes to Iris in episode 317 of The Flash. Kara sings, Barry was great when he sang it the first time, but Kara singing it just adds to it, and it's just the beauty behind it and the emotion behind that scene is what causes the goosebumps on me. I just love it. Now, if someone were able to mix Barry's version with Kara's version and just have it kind of seem like a duet between them, that'd be perfect. Someone please do that, because I definitely don't have the talent to do that. So there's that. And another favorite of mine, which I do not know why it was, but it's in regards to Earth X doppelgangers, Dark Arrow, and Overgirl. For some reason, it was a favorite when they showed Dark Arrow being protective over Overgirl. I mean, in the church, when Overgirl is thrown down and she's not up, you hear Dark Arrow shouting, jumping over a ledge and picking her up and telling everybody to retreat. He wants to get her to safety. So that's one right there. When Overgirl gives an order back on Earth X, Dark Arrow was behind her 100%, saying, you heard her, get back to work type of thing. I don't know why. It was one of my favorites, and it was just like, I kind of knew who the doppelgangers were underneath, and yet for some reason I still wanted it. I don't know why. So I'll leave it at that. But part 2, favorite moments from part 2. I'd have to say all the reveals that we get about Earth X, that for sure contribute to a huge favorite of mine. Don't know why, but the fact that Oliver and Kara are married on Earth X, that surprised me, but it became a favorite. It's like I didn't know I wanted to see something until I actually saw it. I mean, this is me able to have my Olicity cake and yet eat it too with the possibility of Oliver and Kara, which is crazy because in last year's crossover, Oliver was very distant with Kara because of the fact that she's an alien, and now you have a version where they're married to each other. So it's just like I got to see that without having my Olicity coupling affected. So that was fantastic. It was very interesting to see that type of dynamic. But I will have to say there were some parts where maybe the wording made it seem a little awkward. I don't know if that's because I'm seeing my version of Oliver or our version of Oliver and our version of Kara in those scenes, and maybe that's why it's a little awkward. But it was just some moments where it's like either very stilted or very forced, or just not as chemical, I guess you can say. I don't know, but the fact that these two are an item, I was fine with it as long as it wasn't. It's like I'm not gonna see Earth 1 Kara or Earth 1 Oliver and Earth 38 Kara being a couple like that. I wouldn't want that too, because that means Felicity's gone and everything like that. But seeing them being friends was always like the best thing I can see them with, and then I get this version and I'm like, I'm okay with it. I'm absolutely fine with it, so I'll leave it at that. Also, the big reveal, the fact that Tommy Merlin is Prometheus X, that was fan-fucking-tastic, so I'm loving that. The fact that we only maybe got like 5-10 minutes with him kind of sucks, but understandable. He's busy on Chicago Med, so there's that. There's the timer. I definitely did not do it in 30, so there's that. Also, the reveal of the fact that Dark Flash is the Earth 1 Eobard Thawne, just coming back for old times. Don't know how in the world he got connected to Earth X. I'm with Dr. Wells when he says that he's an idiot for doing that. So there's that. But I'll talk about Dark Flash later on. But moving on to another favorite moment of part 2. The scene between Oliver and Tommy. That is Earth 1 Oliver and Tommy X. Before evil Tommy revealed himself. Just seeing that connection, and for a moment I truly wanted to believe that Tommy was going to turn to their side and help them out. Just because of the connection, saying that on my Earth, you are my best friend, I would die for you, and Oliver saying that I would have died for you too, type of thing. That was just tugging on my heartstrings, true emotion. We haven't seen these two on screen together since in the present day, since episode 123. We saw them in a few flashbacks, I believe, or hallucinations, maybe. But I miss Tommy so much, and I'm so glad we even got a version of him in the crossover. We definitely didn't get him in the 100th episode last year, so I'm glad that they were able to bring him back for even just this small moment, because I love it, love it, love it, love it. But next favorite, I would have to say, is the Earth X reveal face-off. Now this is where Barry, Kara, and Oliver are facing against these doppelgangers, and this is when the Earth X doppelgangers take the mask off and show the fact that Overgirl is Kara, Dark Arrow is Oliver, and Eobard Thawne is the Dark Flash. Just that whole face-off, getting the reactions of our superheroes reacting to the fact that it's their doppelgangers or their longtime enemies that's coming to attack them, which is fantastic. And then also from that is when we find out that Oliver is married to Kara, and then I'm gonna get confused talking about which one's which. This is when they find out that Dark Arrow is married to Overgirl, and then Kara's reaction from that. And then when you get Oliver shooting a kryptonite arrow at Overgirl, and then all their reactions, especially Kara being, why do you have a kryptonite arrow with you? And then Oliver's just like, just in case an evil you showed up. Apparently that's a Batman reference. But that was just fantastic right there. And then having the three of them team up to save the construction workers, that was just awesome. I loved it. So I'll leave it at that. But let's move on to part 3's top favorite moments. First one, again, everything we learned on Earth X. I'm loving all these different reveals. The fact that we got to see Felicity X being a prisoner who was trying to give her rations to the children in the concentration camp. She's also a brunette in that as well. So at least we see that Felicity hasn't really changed that much, in a sense, between her Earth 1 counterpart. So there's that. The fact that we see an evil version of Quentin Lance X, was pretty interesting as well. Sorry. Get mentions of Sarah X being killed by her own father due to her love interest. So there's that. We also meet Earth X freedom fighters, including Citizen Cold, the Ray, as well as General Windshot. Definitely a badass in his commanding role. So that was just fantastic there. Another favorite of mine for Part 3 was the invasion into the Earth X Nazi compound. The fact that Oliver posed as his own doppelganger to get himself inside. The fact that he took all these guards down when it came time to execute Felicity X. And then just the whole fight to get them to that breach was just fantastic. I love the execution of it all, how they teamed up and how they used their skills. I just love the fight scenes when they incorporate so many people into it. It's just amazing. So there's that. Another funny thing, it's a very small thing though, but it's when we see our superheroes in the pipeline cells when Cisco initially wakes up, which is a funny moment in itself, and he's finding out what's happened, and then just their reactions to it, and then getting Cisco and Harry fighting with each other, especially with Harry bouncing that ball and Cisco getting so annoyed, and then Caitlin and Dina's like, are they really going to do this whole time? That was just funny. It was great lightheartedness right there, despite the terrible situation they were in. It was so them. They're always fighting, and no matter what situation, it was just like, that was fun. It really was. So moving on to top 3 of Part 4. I definitely like the fact that we get the splitting up of teams, how you got one group doing one thing and one group doing another thing, and using their resources well. I did like that. Another favorite of mine was the fact that Oliver killed his own doppelganger. I love that. He knew when it needed to be done. Yes, he did hesitate when his own doppelganger fell to his knees when he realized that his wife was destroyed due to her own health. But then when it became obvious that he wasn't going to stop, Oliver took care of it. He killed the leader that was destroying another world. So that was awesome. Plus, it must have been really weird for Oliver to kind of kill himself in a way. So there is that. But he definitely was a worthy opponent, I guess you could say. Matched him shot for shot, strike for strike, and all that. So there's that. Another favorite moment of mine would have to be the West Allen and Olicity double ceremony with Diggle being the officiate. That was awesome. Again, it would have been more of a shocking or a fantastic moment if I hadn't seen leaked footage of this scene playing out. But I just love the fact that it was actually in the episode and it's official. So there's that. Another favorite is the fact that Citizen Cold, aka Leo X, is staying for a while on Earth 1. That I was surprised by. I'm glad we're going to see that. Just because his general attitude towards everyone he encountered, I just love. Absolutely love. His interactions with Ray were fantastic, and then also his interactions with our well-known characters, with Sarah, with Mick, especially with Mick, with Oliver. All that was just amazing, and I can't wait to see that grow during his stay on Earth 1. The fact that he wanted a hug from Barry, too, as their goodbye, it's just like, I'm loving it. So, there's that. Last favorite moment, though, for Part 4 was the face-off in the Star Labs between Dark Arrow, Felicity and Kara, and then with Oliver and Overgirl. So this is the scene where Dark Arrow has his arrow pointed at Kara with Felicity between them because Felicity won't give Kara over, and then we have Oliver intervening with Overgirl as his hostage. So, and him trying to convince his doppelganger that there's another way that we can save everybody and not kill anyone. And that was before Eobard Thawne zoomed in to take away his teammates. So I just love that scene. It's very complex. Also the fact that Oliver is trying to convince his own doppelganger to spare. It's pretty much Oliver in the room with all the women in his life, pretty much. You got Oliver of Earth 1 with the love of his life, Felicity, and then you have Doppelganger Oliver with his wife, Doppelganger Kara, and then you also have Earth 38 Kara. So it's like a huge web right there. So that was very cool. It's very emotionally charged. This is where the emotion is driving their actions here. So there's that. But moving on to the peeved sections of my video. Don't like to say when there's peeves, but if there's peeves, I gotta mention them. So with part 1, the only peeve I truly had was the fact that this episode should have been set up as the Flash episode, more so than the Supergirl one. But I understand how they needed this one to be Supergirl so that they could set up Kara's trip to Earth 1, since it's not taking place on Earth. So I understand that, but it just seems like for a Supergirl episode, it should have had a lot more appearances from its own show. They kind of did that during the whole intro bit on National City, but that's pretty much it. Then it was just Kara and Alex, so that was my only peeve about it. So there's that. With part 2, though, a huge peeve I did have, again, around the same lines, but for an episode for the Arrow, you didn't really see much of the Arrow team members. You only see them during that one showdown in the Speed Lab between them and Dark Arrow. Even then, it's done in the dark or in the shadows, but you only get that. Also, another peeve for part 2 was the fact that the Dark Flash is just the Earth 1 version of Eobard Thawne, who we have seen die twice already. I mean, I really don't get that. I mean, first we get... This is my confusion. We see Eobard Thawne be erased from the timeline in Flash 123 when his ancestor Eddie kills himself. So that erases him from the timeline. We see him again, that same version of him, or the time-traveling version of him. So essentially, when Eddie killed himself, that should erase the existence of anyone that should have came after him. So, because he time travels so much, though, in Season 2 of Legends of Tomorrow, they showed that Eobard Thawne, a time remnant of him, or a time-traveling version of him, still survived, and he's been trying to outrun the Black Flash, who was trying to catch up to him to correct the time paradox. Because if Eobard Thawne's ancestor killed himself, Eobard Thawne should exist. So that means the Black Flash is meant to erase any actual existence of him. So all of Season 2 of Legends of Tomorrow was him trying to rewrite his destiny and write him back into existence, which he fails ultimately in the end. And we see the Black Flash destroying Eobard Thawne once and for all, and with it all the other time remnants he had created. So that should have been the end of him. But no, this Dark Flash from Earth X is actually still a version of Eobard Thawne that our Barry has been fighting, which I do not get. How is it still possible, considering they have already written his existence out of existence? That's my only peeve there, because I don't get it. How is he still alive? I mean, that's the only thing I hate about time traveling, is the fact that if you change something, it doesn't really affect other things or something. I don't get it. So please, someone explain it to me. It's driving me nuts. So there's that. Now, moving on. Part 3, I don't really have any peeves that I remember from Part 3. So I'll leave it at that. But Part 4, I do have a few of them. First one being the massive superhero walkout. There's a huge photo of just all of them lined up in the, walking out. I just thought that was pretty cheesy when it actually happened. So I'll leave it at that. It just felt like none of their weapons were drawn. None of them were on the defense. They were just walking off casual, as if they're on a runway, a model runway show type of thing. None of them were actually in defensive modes. Backs hunched, weapons pulled, none of that. So I thought that was pretty cheesy the way it actually happened. So there's that. Another peeve of mine was the fact that Barry let Eobard Thawne live again. I do not know why. it's irritating me that he gets to walk free again. So there's that. Also a mention of that, though, the Eobard that we do see in Season 2 of Legend of Tomorrow, I remember, the only reason he was able to be there was because Barry had saved a version of Eobard and plucked him out of the timeline when he created Flashpoint. I think that's the connection there. But anyways, another peeve from Part 4 was the fact that I was slightly peeved on the fact that Barry and Iris's elopement with Diggle kind of turned into a double wedding with Oliver and Felicity. I mean, I kind of wanted it just to be a West Allen-centric thing, and then Oliver and Felicity get their own separate one later, but I get how doing it all together like this would have been better. I mean, I love that Diggle did it. I love that eventually, in the end, that they did get married, both couples. But the fact that the way that Felicity kind of interrupted and said, like, before you continue, can we step in and include ourselves in as well? It's like, no, Diggle should have just officiated and completed Barry and Iris's wedding, and then afterwards have Felicity go, any chance that you'd want to do ours now, instead of interrupting. That was the only peeve I had, though. But again, it makes sense. They both had their own massive weddings. Like Felicity mentioned, they did their massive one in episode 416 when they're trying to lure Cupid out to find them. They did the whole dress, the vows, and all that thing. And then Barry and Iris had their big wedding beginning in part 1 of this event. So I get them just wanting to get it done and over with so that they can just say that they actually got married. So I can understand that, but mainly it was Felicity's timing of interruption was the peeve I had about the double wedding. So there's that. Another peeve of mine was the fact that there was no interaction between Barry and his artificial intelligent Gideon. I've been waiting for that since it was revealed in Season 1 of The Flash that Barry was the one who created Gideon. I'm assuming this is the same Gideon that he created, but the fact that we got no interaction, I have no idea now. So that was a peeve of mine, especially when I've heard other people wanting to see that interaction. I was kind of waiting for that too. So there's that. And another peeve was that Professor Stein was killed off. So there is that. But moving on to what will I remember most about the 4 parts. First part being the church fight scene. Second part being the doppelganger face-off, when Barry, Oliver, and Kara first realized who was under the masks of the Earth X soldiers. Part 3, the fact that we got to see Earth X and beyond Earth X, so that's a huge reminder there. And part 4, it's going to be the reunions we got to see between all of our superheroes after they've been separated during part 3. So that's the reunion of Felicity, the reunion of the Danvers sisters, and reunion of West Allen as well. But moving on to random questions. Now this one, I'm just going to bunch them all together, but the first one was, and still remains since it wasn't answered at all through the crossover, but who was the waitress that Barry was talking to before his wedding? The very cryptic one. Again, I mentioned that everyone's saying that that she is their future daughter named Dawn, but I'm waiting for that to be revealed to be true or not on the show. So there's that. Next question: did anyone else wish that Wynn was invited to the West Allen wedding? I kind of wanted to see him interact with all the Earth 1 superheroes, because he's definitely excited when he met Barry in episode 118 of Supergirl. So I would have loved to have seen Wynn not only visit another Earth, but just to see all these superheroes and be like that. But we kind of got the Earth X version of Wynn, so there's that. But I kind of wish that Wynn was Kara's +1, but I get why they wanted the whole Danvers sister bonding thing. So there's that. Also, another question is, did anyone else wish that it was an actually Barry X that was Dark Flash instead of Eobard Thawne again? I'm kind of getting sick and tired of the whole Barryverse Eobard Thawne. I would have loved to see the evil Barry version from Earth X, but then again, did Savitar kind of take that place last year back on the Flash? So that's a question there in itself. Also, another random question that really just came to me though. But why was Eobard Thawne still faster than Barry? I mean, I thought after Barry came out of the Speed Force and he showed speed levels so high that no one has seen them before on the Flash team, why is the Reverse Flash still faster than him. I thought Barry's supposed to be this faster speedster after his time in the Speed Force, and supposed to be unrivaled, and yet you get him going against the Reverse Flash, a speedster he's taken down a few times already, and just like, I don't know what's going on there, so I'm wondering what you guys thought about that. If I'm missing something about that, so please let me know. Another question is, if there are 53 versions of everyone, including aliens like Kara, then where is our Earth 1 Kara? So there's that. Another question is, how much of what Tommy from Earth X said about Earth X was true? I'm mostly wondering about, like, if anything he said about his relationship with Oliver X was true or not, and just if it was just him painting a very gruesome picture to kind of gain sympathy or not. But I'm wondering how much of what he said was true, though. So there's that. And last question. If there is a possible version of Wynn and Kara on Earth X, then where are their Earth 1 doppelgangers? Again, it's very similar to the question I asked two questions ago. But at first I thought Earth 38 was kind of like the anomaly, that maybe out of all the Earths that Kara could have landed on, Earth 38 is the one she landed on. But apparently not. There's 53 versions of Kara out there. There's 53 of them on Earth. On an Earth, or maybe there's one Krypton that didn't explode. So there's that option too. But I'm wondering when we're going to see the Earth 1 versions of Wynn and Kara, and if so, what are they going to be like? So there's that. But that's pretty much it, guys. So for predictions, I'll go through all 4 because that's what I'm going to do. As of this point right now, the promos have not really been released. They only released the Supergirl promo for 309, which shows it being the holiday episode, and Kara coming face to face with supervillain Rain for the first time. But the synopsis reads that Supergirl investigates a mysterious symbol popping up all over National City, tracing its origins back to an ancient prophecy about the mark of the world killer Rain. Meanwhile, the tension between Lena and Morgan Edge continues to build, causing James to step in and offer up some protection and possibly igniting a spark in the process. I know they're going to try to build up a possible relationship between James and Lena. Don't know how I feel about that. I'm still wondering what the hell happened to Lisa Lane, I think. Lois Lane's sister, from season 1. I'm still trying to figure out what happened to her. She just like suddenly disappeared after season 1. But this is the mid-season finale for Supergirl. But since I don't do Supergirl videos, I just want to state now that I do not like the fact that Mon-El came back to the present after his stay in the future for 7 years, as well as coming back with a wife. I don't like that whatsoever. Because of the fact that what's bugging me about that is the fact that if you're from the future, then you're from a future where time travel is possible. So don't tell me that you didn't try to exhaust every possible way for you to find someone in the future to time travel and take you back to your original time. I don't believe that whatsoever. It's very different if he got stuck in the past. Then yeah, you can't really time travel to the future because the technology hasn't been invented yet. But stuff like the Wave Rider, which was developed in the 2100s, is possible. So I do not accept the fact that Mon-El gave up on the idea of reuniting with Kara when he was in the future in a time where time travel was very possible. He could have found a speedster to ask to bring him back. He could have found someone with a time ship, could have bring him back so that he could reunite with Kara. But no, he moved on with this Imra, who's supposedly Saturn Girl. I don't accept that at all, especially when Kara has spent the last 7 months agonizing over the fact that she sent Mon-El off to his death. When she sent him out on her spaceship. It's just like, no, I don't accept that, and I'm going to leave it at that. Especially when they keep saying that Kara has never been happier than she was with Mon-El. It's like a huge punch in the face. And I'll leave it at that. I'll keep saying I'll leave it at that. But anyways, for Arrow, again, no promo yet though, but based off the synopsis for 609, it reads that Quentin Lance is kidnapped back by Black Siren and Kanan James, who are looking to trade Lance's life for a weapon of mass destruction. Oliver and Team Green Arrow must figure out a way to save Quentin Lance while still keeping the city safe. So this is also the mid-season finale for Arrow. But that's gotta suck. I mean, Lance's Earth 2 doppelganger of a daughter is putting his life at risk. It's just, that's so messed up. But anyways, moving on to The Flash, though. Again, no promo I've seen yet for 409, but the synopsis reads that Amunet kidnaps Caitlin and puts meta-dampener handcuffs on her to keep her from turning into Killer Frost. Amunet tells Caitlin she needs her to perform a tricky medical task, and if Caitlin fails, Amunet will kill her. Meanwhile, the Thinker traps the Flash in a speedster-proof prison. Why, I don't know, but with the clock clicking, the team doesn't have the time or resources to track both Caitlin and Barry, so Iris is forced to choose who to save. Question, why is Iris the one that's supposed to choose to save? But I'll leave it at that. And why the hell would the Thinker want to trap him in a speed-proof prison? No clue. We'll have to wait about that. But this is, again, this mid-season finale for The Flash. So with that, also with Legends, no promo for 309, but the synopsis reads that rattled by recent events, the Legends dive into work, which finds them investigating an anachronism in a Viking settlement in the New World. The Legends realize that the Norsemen are worshipping an artifact as their god and are surprised by the artifact's origin. Kind of sounds like Savitar. But anyways, for the first time, Sarah is worried that they might need backup when Damien Dark shows up. Meanwhile, Jax finds a loophole that could potentially change history, but it is a risk he is willing to take. Again, do not like the fact that Damien Dark is back, but they explain how it's possible in this sense. But anyways, this is also the mid-season finale for Legends of Tomorrow, but it does not return like all the other ones in January. Apparently, this one is coming back sometime in February. I would have to double check about that, but it's definitely not returning with the others at the same time. But that's about it, guys. What'd you guys think of the huge crossover event? What'd you like about it? What do you think is going to happen next in their individual shows? Please let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your own thoughts, theories, and opinions about all that good stuff. I loved this crossover. This is the best. It keeps getting better and better each year. I can't wait to see what they do next year. Don't know how in the world they're going to top this off. It truly felt like I was watching a movie. 2 movies, essentially. So there's that. It was truly amazing. I loved it. I definitely have to watch it again when I'm able to see it all in one go. But yeah, guys, tell me what you think in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for all the episodes are down below. I read blog promos, web clips, quotes, gifs, synopses, news, all that good stuff, all found in one place, so go check it out. I also have it attached to my WordPress account. It's more organized over there, but everything is linked there. So check that out as well. But otherwise, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. So sorry for it being an hour-long video, but I'm covering 4 hours worth of footage, so I'd say that's pretty good. But then again, I ramble a lot, so I do apologize about that. But thank you again for tuning in. I hope you come back next time to see what I have to say about the DC Universe. That is ArrowVerse. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week, wherever you are. Bye for now.